Well, hi everybody. Last week I posted me putting some pegs in some wood and making a draw-borne tenon joint, and some people I got some questions from some people regarding where do these pins come from, and you can make these pins, and I'm going to show you how to do that. This is essentially the same kind of pin I put in in the last video. This is a piece of walnut. It's 5/16 of an inch across, so it's a little over 1/4 of an inch. That's what, 6 or 7 millimeters, something like that. And that's it's maybe an inch and a half long, something like that. But I'll show you how we do this. I have to make some pins. I have to make some 1/4 inch pins for this process I'm doing. So I'll take you through the steps on how we do that. Hopefully this won't take too long, although I've spent all this time now on the introduction. So we're going to make some pins, kind of like this, but not quite that big around. We're going to make some 1/4 inch pins. So it starts with some blocks here. I have some cut-offs of some walnut, and this is near the edge. So there's some sapwood up here on the edge. We probably don't want that because that's going to look pretty white. We want the dark color of the wood. So we're going to try to cut from these corners in here. What we do is we run it through the table saw, and we take a little slice off of the thickness that we want, and then we take this guy and run him through the table saw again, and we're going to get some, I guess you could call them blanks. You could buy all these things, I suppose, if you wanted, or you can just make them. So these little guys here are these are 5/16 of an inch. There's a little burn mark on there, but that'll come off. So these are they're probably, I don't know, this is right around 12 inches, I would guess, something like that. And so we make a bunch of these. We make a couple of slats like this and cut them up. And every time you cut them up, you make a lot of sawdust, but you get a lot of these guys. And then what I do is I take these things, these square guys, I take them over here to this well, it's a power drill with a sanding drum in it, and I put a little clamp on here like this, put the clamp on here, and it turns on. And it runs like that, okay? And then what I will do is I take the end of it, and I make a pointer. Where's focused here? There we go. And I round off the end of it because we're going to need to do that here in a little bit. So I have a square peg with a rounded end, and I will take that rounded end, and I'll ram it through this thing. Okay, this is a dowel plate, and it has a bunch of holes in it that range all the way from 5/8 of an inch all the way down to 1/8. And I'm going to make 1/4 inch pins. So I'm going to use this one right here, this 1/4 inch one eventually, but you have to start with the bigger numbers. So when I start with the 5/16, I start up here somewhere because it's 5/16 on the X and the Y, but the diagonal is going to be bigger. Those of you with Pythagorean can do that thing. So, and I run the pegs through there. And what happens as you do that, you're putting a round peg in a square peg in a round hole, as they say. And what will happen is it'll take off the corners. And you can see that's what I've already done on some of these. So this guy has been, come on, focus, Rafe, focus. All right, so we round off the corners a little bit. So now we have a square peg with rounded corners. And after a while, you get down to this thing, which is everything except the last trip through. Now this is one of those pegs, and you can see every now and then I have to repoint the end, so it'll go through there, and I've done that. What I'm going to do for your viewing entertainment today is either smash my thumb and start it bleeding, or I will break this thing as I'm trying to drive it through, or I will successfully do it. So I'm going to set that up, and you can watch me try to turn this from a 9/32 inch dowel to a 1/4 inch dowel here. That doesn't take too long unless I really screw it up. So here we go. So I got the dowel plate clamped down, and I'm going to put this in here like this. Here's my big old hammer. And we're going to pound this in there, and we're going to try to not break it. So here we go. I did damage. I injured my thumb back in January. I hit it right here on this bench, and there was blood everywhere, and the emergency room saw me and dropped in some stitches. But we're better now, but we haven't learned our lesson, so we're going to keep hammering. So here we go. See there, see, I missed it right there. Now I came up with a tool a while ago, and you can do this too. This is a big, very intense tool. It's a block of wood with a hole in the bottom. Gives me a bigger thing to aim at. The risk here is, of course, this thing is it's very brittle, very thin, and it's easy to break this guy. But let's do it. Let's try it like this. There you go. And you can see the clamp even loosened up at the end. You get these little shavings, which are great for starting fires. But here is here's our 1/4-inch dowel now. What we'll do is we'll chop this up into little pieces, and we'll get something that looks kind of like this. And this is the thing that will go. This is the thing that will go into the hole to make the pegged tenon thing. So, come on, focus. There we go. This is essentially the peg that we're going to use. So you can see this takes a while to make a lot of pegs. Sometimes I'll just have a peg day where I will cut up a lot of these blanks and spend my day hammering in there. Back in January when I hurt my finger, it was because I had done a lot of them in one day and I was very tired. So when you get tired, you better stop. It's easy to break your fingers. So anyway, good luck. Have a great day. Bye.